Okay, everyone, welcome back. And we've got a big, exciting, juicy episode for you guys today on the HK SP5. It's a video we've had coming for a long time. There's a lot to talk about. This is definitely a video where it is suggested you grab your bratwurst, your favorite German beer, American straight whiskey, whatever you would like, and settle in. I'm gonna guess we're gonna be together for a little bit here talking about all kinds of stuff, much related to the gun and much related to kind of my relationship with the gun, because it's got some peaks and valleys in it. Before we get into that jazz, you're here and we put out pretty decent content. I feel comfortable telling you that. It's not necessarily the most educational or scientific, but we put out pretty decent content. So maybe you should subscribe to the damn channel since you're here. We also are willing to take your money, and that's about as simple as that. Our Patreon is designed to do that, to take your money and for you to say, hey, we appreciate your content. Here's a couple of bucks, right? It's like tipping your waiter because they gave you a good service. That's what Patreon really is, and we give you some extra content as well. We'll have that linked down in the video description. And then last but not least, the 1911 Syndicate, it's a real estate company. It's very niche. We deal with a lot of military, law enforcement, shooters, hunters, and I mean, damn near exclusively that is our clientele, and we operate in a lot of different places across the country. If we're not in your area, typically there's still some ways that we can help. So you can just go to 1911syndicate.com and check all that good jazz out. Now, the HK SP5. So my disclaimers on this, first of all, relationship with HK, I would say minimal, but it does exist. They are now aware of us. We, by the time this video is coming out, you will probably have seen, hey, we've been putting out quite a bit of HK content. That is not per HK's request. They frankly have known nothing about what we're doing. We're able to get our hands on some cool unicorn German goods and been putting out some videos. So they are aware of us. I did purchase the gun, so the gun was not free or anything like that. I did purchase the gun, but they know me a little bit. I know them a little bit, and there you go. That's that. So I entitled this next section, my HK journey, okay? And I'm gonna have to personalize this a little bit because those of you who have followed the channel for a little bit, you're probably already screaming at your televisions and or smartphones going like, hey, haven't you said some non-flattering stuff about MP5s? Sir, you're correct, and I can't really deny that. I have gone as far as to say that there is an HK Nut Riders Club. It's the HK Nutsack that are clinging on to said sack. This guy, he's actually rappelling, kind of down. This guy, he's actually latched onto two different pubes. The sack got sweaty, he slipped, and now he's basically riding down the sack like it's a water slide. And bolt locks for pussies. This is a typical thing that you will see. I'd buy one because of this. John McClane defeated terrorism at the Nakatomi Tower with an MP5. That's our first apology video. It's gotten a lot of weight off my chest, I'll tell you that much. Let me get some of that HK nut, right? You know, this is a gun that I've just had a relationship with where I'm like, look, I found it to be very outdated and there was more modern, relevant things on the market, and we'll get to that, don't worry. But that was just kind of my perception while having some time on the gun, but not a lot of time on the gun. Now, my disclaimer to you is this. I am a human being, and most of you watching this, minus some of the dogs, are also human beings. And one of the great things about being a human being is that you can change and you can evolve in your opinion on things over time. And that is largely what we have with my connection to the, I'm going to mostly call this an MP5, even though it's technically an SP5 semi-auto version. I have evolved tremendously in my relationship in terms of how I see this gun. And we're going to get into it, and kind of towards the end, I'll kind of give you some little breakdown stuff and all that good jazz. But it's been a bit of an evolution, right? Before we get into all that kind of stuff, let me give you a little bit of a breakdown on the gun itself. Okay, everyone, so let's break this down. The MP5 or SP5 in this version is as iconic as firearms get. I mean, in terms of, hey, name the top 10 coolest, most iconic guns of all time, I would be stunned if the MP5 wasn't in most of our lists. 1911, of course, you've got to throw in the list, you know, but look, this is at the very, I mean, it's got to be within the top 5, you know. It's an interesting gun because, look, it was designed in the 1960s, and it frankly really has not changed much since then. And we will get to that, and that, of course, has been one of my criticisms over time, is like, why don't you evolve some stuff? Because really not much has changed, right? And the SP5 really, I mean, is the first time that we as civilians have been able to get an MP5, minus if you're just a total baller and you could afford to get an actual full auto version. This was, you know, the first time that you could get this. HK tried to come out with the, I think they called it the SP5K a few years ago, that one that was kind of the bastardized child of an MP5 that I never really had much interest in. But this is really the first time you could get the real deal, just being in semi-auto, of course. Now, you guys can have the debate as to whether PCCs, pistol caliber carbines, submachine guns, you can have your debate whether or not they are relevant in modern shooting world. Obviously, they are a lot less prominent these days because of the advancements in reliability in short barrel ARs and platforms like that. I still see a relevance for PCCs. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but hey, from my 2 cents, which is worth pretty much coyote shit, there still is a place for PCCs in your collection and in your actual like guns that are used, whether for home defense, whatever it may be. Now, it's a roller delayed blowback system. Now, what you're going to want to do at this point, you're going to want to open a new tab. Okay, so like you're on your computer right now, you're going to want to open a new tab. You're going to go to different YouTube channels and or a thing called the World Wide Web, and you're going to want to search what is roller delayed blowback. You're on the wrong channel to learn that kind of information. That's not what we do here, right? There's a lot of good sources for that. This channel is about bro science and bringing you cool, flashy, fancy things. What you should know about the roller delayed system is it is extremely reliable. So in the, I don't know, maybe 90 days that I've had this gun now, I've not had a single malfunction. And to kind of further prove a point, I don't think I've shot it for a single round without the suppressor on. And I have not even broken the gun down yet, which means I haven't cleaned it. It also means I have not thrown oil on it. Literally, it came to me with whatever grease or lube or whatever would have been on from the factory, and I just started shooting it. And started shooting it with a suppressor on, which is going to get the gun even more dirty. And over the course of 3 months, I'm going to guess, you know, 1,000, 1,500 rounds on the gun, maybe a little bit more. Not had a single hiccup, and again, haven't even thrown oil on the damn thing. So to say that it is a reliable system would be kind of an understatement. One of the other things that the roller delayed system is going to get you is an incredibly soft shooting, incredibly pleasant gun to shoot. Each time I shoot this, I kind of fall a little bit more in love with it because it is So nice to shoot. And if you want to really know how nice full auto fire can be, you need to do yourself a favor, and like the next time you're in Vegas or wherever they have a range with a full auto MP5, pay the $50 or whatever it is to go shoot a mag through a full auto MP5. It's the best recoil impulse on a full auto gun that I've ever shot. MP7 is definitely way up there, but the MP5 full auto is incredible. Even our semi-auto version, I'm telling you, once you kind of understand a little of the, just the trigger and that sweet spot and the recoil impulse and all that, you can absolutely shred with these things, right? I'm not a fast shooter, and I can shoot above my skill level on this gun, okay? Oh, we gotta wear that we gotta wear that fucking thing, huh? Quick cameo. Those rocks are sharp, man. They ain't gonna feel good on your paws. Go take a nap or something if I were you. Oh, Jesus. It's right there. Oh, my God. That's hideous. All right, everyone. Welcome back. Quick pause there. Christian behind the camera had to put this bullshit on my microphone because it's very windy out here. That thing is called a dead cat. And no, I'm not bullshitting you. It's actually called a fucking dead cat, everybody. It's going to make some of the dog owners happy out there. On with the tour. Price on these bad boys is a couple bucks shy of $3,000. So look, they're not cheap. I get it. They're not cheap. It's not a gun for the people who are like, I'm looking for the budget subgun. It's simply not the gun for you. I don't know how else to put that. It's a very, very expensive gun. And frankly, once you start adding up options and accessories and everything, it's gonna get pricey. Going to get pricey, everyone. Okay, so just know that going in. It comes as a pistol, and that's part of the reason that the price continues to add up. It comes as a pistol, not a pistol that comes with a pistol brace. It literally just comes with a nub, if you will, just like a bare end cap where you can clip in a sling on a snap hook like that. So look, you're going to have to add a pistol brace or do a Form 1 and an SBR and add a stock, whatever you want. So just know that. Cold hammer forged chrome line barrel. You can see how much I care about those kind of things. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If it's a warm chrome line hammer forged barrel, I send it back and I don't even feel bad about it, okay? That's just me, you do you though. Look, the barrel is both threaded and tri-lugged. If Jake was in charge of the world, now your suppressor's on. It's the fastest, cleanest way to get the suppressor on. That's how I always run it. I don't really fuck around with direct thread unless I have to. Kudos to HK. It's something that they did better than B&T in this case with the APC9 Pro. The K version is different, but the APC9 Pro, it's tri-lug only. So good to HK for threading and tri-lugging their barrels. It is largely an ambi firearm. I say largely, almost entirely. So he's back under my left cheek. Left cheek holds him down. So safety, first of all, is an ambi safety. The safety is quite good. I feel like there's been gripes about HK safeties in terms of not being able to reach them, which is why you will see some people basically single side their gun where they're manipulating their safety and then working their trigger. Gun's unloaded, by the way, so everyone relax. But basically, they're working their safety trigger on the same side of the gun. As if their thumbs don't reach. Now, it's a creepy comment because some people notice it, but apparently some people have noticed I have long thumbs. I never knew that that was a trait that I possessed until some people pointed out, but I have no issue reaching that safety on the ambi side of the gun so you can just work the gun like a normal gun. Very tactile, very crisp. I'm kind of lingering on the safety because frankly, it's a very, very good safety, and the actual portion where you index and take it off is flat, so it's like it's a very, very well designed safety, very tactile, all that good jazz. So that's your safety. You've got an ambi mag release, so you've got actually two options how you can release the mag. One would be this little button that's right here. Now you can take mag out, or the other option would be the paddle. The button is just on the one side. It's not going to be on this side, which is where a lefty would index it, but the paddle is ambi, and frankly, I just work everything off of the paddle, right? So you've got safety, you've got mag release, and then you've got your charging handle, which while not ambi, like while designed for righties, it is ambidextrous. Okay, so how this would work for those of you who don't understand how lefties do anything, basically how your reload would work for lefties, it's a little less ergonomic. It's a little less efficient compared to a righty, but basically, I'm going to say this and show this just because, hey, a lot of people, they don't know how these things actually work, right? So basically, you are shooting, yada, yada, yada. You, instead of a bang, you hear a click. Oh, shit, I'm out. The guns don't have last round bolt hold open, so you know you're empty when you hear that click, in which case you are going to take the charging handle, you're going to lock it back, right? You're going to take out your mag, you're going to index a new mag goes in, and instead of you kind of doing the angled slap on the HK slap as a righty, you're basically going to kind of push as a lefty. So you're really just going to come over the top and you're just going to kind of push down, right? So it's a slightly different angle. It bothers me not whatsoever. It might be a little less efficient if you looked at like actual data in terms of how much movement you have to do to get that reload in. It doesn't bother me. It's part of the, whether you call it a quirk or charm of the MP5 is that. Okay, so the trigger, everyone. The trigger is, it's different. So it's not at all going to be like an AR trigger or anything like that. It's kind of its own animal. It frankly has a nice pull. It's uniquely HK. That's about the best way I can put it. It's not a heavy pull. It's a little bit long, but it's very predictable. And again, given how low the recoil is on the gun itself, you can run the piss out of that trigger and get very, very fast with it. Mags, it's worth noting for those of you who have never really played in the MP5 space, the mags are incredibly, incredibly good, but they're ungodly expensive. So, you know, right now, like, look, if you're buying factory HK MP5 30 round mags, they're running $100 a pop. And you can find them, but yeah, they're like $100 a pop. So, I mean, when I got the gun came with 2 mags. I needed more than that. It gets pretty depressing when you're checking out on HK parts and you're like, how did 6 mags be $600? Like, it is definitely a little bit sad. But the mags are excellent. They're bomb-proof, so they are mags that you can feel very comfortable. They're going to last a very, very long time. And obviously, I don't know whether steel or aluminum, but I'm going to guess steel because it's HK. It's one of the things where the mags really kick the shit out of B&T. It's one of B&T's very few faults in their gun, and at some point we'll probably do what I know a lot of people are going to want, which is a MP5 versus a PC9 Pro comparison video. So we'll do that at some point. Let's go a little bit through accessories because I know I will get questions on that. So we'll just start at the back. So the stock is a B&T telescoping stock. I am quite fond of it, and HK has their A3 stock, which operates the same way, where essentially it collapses all the way in and then you pull it out. The HK stock does have a little locking mechanism where you can basically just send the stock home and now it's going to be locked in. You got to flip a little lever in order to pull the stock out. This doesn't have that. It just comes out. One thing I do like about the B&T stock is that it's very, very flush. So in terms of a small footprint, the stock actually winds up working a little bit better than the A3 factory HK stocks. Let's see here. Let's go sling next. So the sling in question is a Sly Tactical QCS. So basically that's a convertible 1-point to 2-point sling. Mine is running on snap hooks. So basically I can unclip this, and then if I had a 2-point, which I don't, I could clip it in as a 2-point and then back to a single. Trying to juggle too many things with one hand. It's a nice system, and if I needed to disconnect quickly, just release the little buckle there, and now I'm good to go. So it's a nice system. Those of you know we've done a detailed review on Sly Tactical stuff. We do actually have a couple bucks you can save. Promo code's 1911 Syndicate, and I think it's like 15% off you get on their slings. Excellent, excellent slings. This is their, if you order it, tell them QCS non-padded, right? Very good for subguns, or if you're running ARs with like plate carriers or something where you already have padding, this is exactly what I would get. And this is with snap hooks, of course. Next thing, we've got the optic mount. So this little top rail here is also from B&T. Basically, I did B&T furniture everywhere that I could. So this is their low-rise optic mount. We've got a Trijicon MRO up top. It's been great. I'm used to running things a little bit higher than this, but frankly, I just thought aesthetically on this gun, it was gonna look wrong to have a higher optic than that. Up front, we've got B&T's. This is their lightweight pick rail handguard. It's really nice. They basically have like a steel version. I think this one's aluminum, so it's the lightweight version. It's really, really good. I really like it quite a lot. I'm a big fan of the handguard because I did want to run lights and things on this. I wanted a modern build on it. Light-wise, we've already put out a video on this, but it's the Arisaka 300 series, Surefire pressure pad, Arisaka mount, and then the suppressor in question we will have a video on if it hasn't already come out, which is the CGS Mod 9 SK. That would be your build list. So let's talk about kind of what the MP5 actually is, right? Because I can take through specs and all that kind of stuff, but I think you got to go beyond that. I was asking a friend of ours who's been on the channel before, Austin Rex. We were talking about the MP5 one day, and he said something to me. He goes, "It's a subgun for adults." And I thought it was kind of a cool little catchy tagline. And, you know, I've got to thinking about it over time as I've been shooting this and spending time with it. And it's actually a very kind of profound statement because I think he's 100% right on that. You see, I'm a bit of a purist. I like things that were purpose-built from the ground up to accomplish a certain thing. And that's really what the MP5 is, right? It was built from the ground up to be this ultra reliable submachine gun. And they don't compromise on that. Versus you look at something like AR-9s or the little AK-9 variants and you go, you know, they're kind of cool, but they were never really meant to be that, right? It's basically this Frankenstein gun for people who happen to like the ergonomics and the manual of arms of those platforms. But they were never really meant to be that. Versus something like this, where you go, this is exactly what it was designed to be, and nothing else. And as I've thought about it over time, it hit me about 2 weeks ago. I was sitting in my living room, and it hit me, and I thought, that's what the MP5 is. It's the Porsche 911 of the gun world. And it made perfect sense to me, finally. See, for those of you who don't know, I lived in LA for a long time, and LA, while a very strange place, it has an incredible car scene. And there was a time in my life I was very much into cars, and one of the cars that frankly kind of drove me nuts back then was the Porsche 911 because so many people had it and they were so loyal to it that I always questioned, like, I think you're just doing it to look cool versus this actually being that great of a car, because it's a car that, kind of like the MP5, doesn't really change that much. I mean, the a new model every 10 years or whatever, but it hasn't really changed that much. And it would drive me nuts because I would see him driving around town and all that stuff. And then, there was a time when I was shopping for a new car, and I decided I was going to finally go test drive a 911. And I test drove one, and as soon as I got in it, I got it. Like, I completely understood. I was like, I get it. I get why everyone drives this. The way that you literally fit in the car, and the car feels like it's molded around your body, to the handling, to the sound, to all of it. It's an absolutely perfect car, right? And if I ever really got back into cars, it would be the car that I would get. And that's really how I think of the MP5. It's one of those things where you go, maybe there's a reason that everyone likes it. Maybe it kind of is perfect and imperfect at the same time. Yeah, it's not the most ergonomic. The reload sequence is kind of ridiculous, and it's kind of insane that there's no last round hold open and all these different things. The price tag, yada, yada. It's like, I get it, but that's part of the charm. The fact that HK goes, look, we got it right. We made a thing that is correct. And you can not like certain things about it, but it is correct. And it does exactly what it was intended to do, much like the 911. So as I kind of wrap up this video, I started by saying, look, I've been on a little bit of a journey with the MP5, and that's the truth. There was a time when I just thought it was cool, but it was cool in the sense of, like, I watched Die Hard at the end of the year, and that's why I think MP5s are cool. And now I don't. I really find it to be an incredible gun. And it's one of those things that I've come to love. And yeah, if for those of you who talk so much about MP5s. I just know a lot of you have never gotten hands on these, and I just really encourage you, look, if you're ever at a place where you can go throw some mags, get a little training in with one of these, it's really quite an interesting, pleasant experience. So anyway, I present to you the Porsche 911 of the gun world. Thanks, everyone.
That should look cool. I'm shooting like right by the damn camera.